Long before the interstellar wars of the 24th century, a species of highly advanced humanoids roamed the galaxy, using their DNA to seed life on many worlds, some of which eventually evolved into intelligent, adaptable, resilient beings, with cultures and civilizations of their own, like humans, Klingons, Romulans, and Cardassians hailing from Cardassia Prime. As bipedal humanoids, the descendants of these progenitors shared many physical, emotional, and psychological traits, yet the diverse environments under which they evolved also allowed for many differences, with unique Cardassian characteristics, including gray skin, two thick vertical ridges on their necks, and an inverted tear or spoon-shaped ridge on their foreheads. They also preferred darker, hotter, more humid environments relative to the other species descended from the progenitors. An ancient people with a rich, vibrant history, Cardassians were once known as Habitians, possessing a spiritual culture famed for art and architecture, burying their dead in elaborate tombs filled with treasures like Jevonite, a rare, beautiful, and highly valued mineral found on their planet. While official contact with Bajor was not made until many years later, a Bajoran lightship designed for short-range spaceflight crash-landed on Cardassia Prime in the 16th century after encountering tachyon eddies that created a warp-style jump through space. Though the later Cardassian government denied these early flights took place, they eventually admitted the truth after Commander Benjamin Sisko of the Federation proved it was possible by building a Bajoran lightship and recreating the journey. Unfortunately for the Habitian civilization, by the 19th century, Cardassia Prime was largely a resource-poor planet, meaning that as their population grew, their prosperity waned, resulting in widespread famine and disease. Unable to save their population, the ruling elite were replaced with the Cardassian Union, a new, highly centralized authoritarian government, seeking a radical reformation of society to ensure their survival. Though many were involved in making this possible, none played a larger role than Tret Akleen, thereafter remembered as the father of the Cardassian Union. Dividing their administrative duties between three branches of government, the Civilian Detapa Council was meant to oversee the Military Central Command and Obsidian Order Espionage Agency. This government then created and promoted a new foundation for virtue and morality based on complete devotion to state and family. In exchange for accepting this new philosophy, the government would use any means necessary to ensure the population was fed and adequately supplied. Though this meant losing many important parts of their culture, the reforms worked and famines ended, earning the respect and admiration of the people, who then embraced these new values, which included adhering to rigid hierarchy, engaging in espionage, employing underhanded tactics to win by any means, and ruthlessly competing to obtain power. As a result, Cardassians became a highly suspicious, paranoid people, ever eager to take the advantage in any situation, as they feared others would seek to do the same. According to the Federation Captain Edward Jellicoe, Cardassians are like timber wolves, predators, bold in large numbers, cautious by themselves, and with an instinctive need to establish a dominant position in any social gathering. During a 22nd century experiment conducted by the Organians, an advanced alien species, Cardassians were infected with a deadly virus and initially showed compassion for the sick, but eventually killed the infected to save the larger group. As for their personal lives, Cardassians were greatly devoted to the family unit, taking pride in ensuring the safety, prosperity, and reputation of their household. Valuing education, Cardassian children went through intensive training from a young age, ensuring a highly educated and capable population, known for their photographic memories and ability to discuss nearly any subject, so well-disciplined they could resist Vulcan mind melds. Believing themselves superior to other species, they were also desensitized from a young age, taught that torture and other horrors were fine when directed towards enemies of the state. Greatly enjoying discourse of all forms, their mating rituals largely consisted of flirting through argumentation and debate, with intense discussion often considered a catalyst for romance. Though both males and females were free to work where they pleased, men mostly went into the military and government, while women entered the sciences and engineering. Once a highly spiritual people, admiration for the new non-theist government meant they became less superstitious over time, convinced that their own actions determined outcomes rather than gods or luck. Yet in reality, their blind devotion merely shifted from the gods of their old religion to the state, believing they must be willing to sacrifice everything for their infallible government. Using this philosophy as a guiding principle, their legal system consisted of a show trial in which all criminals were found guilty before the proceedings began. Therefore, the purpose of the televised trials were to give the prisoners an opportunity to confess, thereby reassuring the Cardassian population the government was always right and criminals were always caught. This all-encompassing devotion to the state even influenced their art and literature, producing famed works like The Never-Ending Sacrifice, an epic story spanning 7 generations within a family that showed selfless obedience to Cardassia, successfully stabilizing their home planet and nearby systems. For long stretches between the 19th and 24th centuries, the Cardassian Union greatly expanded their space through military conquest and colonization, sometimes settling their people on these new worlds, or else enslaving local populations to extract resources. Eventually, their efforts proved so successful that by the mid-24th century, the Cardassian Union was considered one of 4 great superpowers, dominating a large region of the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Yet similar to the Habitians, their successes meant increases in the population and a greater need for resources, leading to periods of destabilization where Cardassia Prime once again faced famine and starvation. Therefore, when ancient Habitian tombs were discovered in the 22nd century, many rich treasures and exquisite artworks were ransacked by locals, with even those relics saved and preserved in a museum, eventually sold by the government to feed the population. During the 23rd century, another period of destabilization caused the Cardassian government to be temporarily replaced by the First Republic, a time associated with the serialist poetry of authors like Aloja of Prim, who was later exiled to Vulcan. By the 24th century, the First Republic was gone, and the Cardassian Union returned, with the Datapa Council once again overseeing central command in the Obsidian Order. However, the reality of the situation meant the government acted as a police state or military dictatorship, with central command as the primary authority, while the Datapa Council were advisors, and the Obsidian Order operated on their own, leveraging secrets to assert their influence when they deemed necessary. With their government's power dependent on supplying resources to their people, they once again started expanding and conquering neighboring systems, leading to contact with the Bajorans in 2319, a highly spiritual people with a kind, generous nature, easily exploited by the invaders. Possessing technology a century more advanced than anything held by the Bajorans, the Cardassian Union officially annexed Bajor in 2328, enslaving the population to extract their resources. Yet the Bajorans were a fiercely independent people, not content to simply live as slaves, and so formed an extremist rebel movement that used guerrilla tactics and terrorism to fight back against their oppressors. By 2369, the ruthless yet strategically minded rebel attacks did so much damage, the Cardassian Union suffered a humiliating defeat and was forced to withdraw, granting victory and freedom to Bajor. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Darin of House Ashford, Ishmam Ahmed of Shamiriana, Fred Heartless, Knight of Iron and Ice, and Pete J. King. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.